Hey there, and welcome to round 5 of the Swiss round of the Lali-Ho League. We have a match today between Starman and Antidale. The winner advances to the bracket stage. Could not be more on the line. My name is Sheep Launcher. I'm here with Commander Leonhardt. Commander, these are two really terrific runners. We should be in for a whale of a race today.
Yeah, definitely. They've both earned their 3-1, and one of them, as you say, is going to punch a bracket ticket and look to make their standing better next week, and the others are going to be a tough opponent for whoever ends up paired with them in an elimination match. Super hype.
Yeah, the second place finisher in this race will not be eliminated, but there are a lot of hungry folks in that 9-point part of the standings. So best to finish with the win this time. Punch your tickets to the brackets and be assured to go in. This should be a very interesting race. We have a start, so the early game exit is on the table. The 5 objectives, you got your 3 standards. You've got defeat Leviathan and get Porum. An interesting set of objectives here.
Yeah, Leviathan is generally not considered a terribly rude boss. He only does the one big wave at a time for a quarter HP and then just flings ice 2s at you. There are a few spots, particularly in combination places like Dwarf Castle, where he can be surprisingly rude. But I can think of many more boss objectives that I'd rather not see on that table. And a character hunt, you never know. It tells you the characters in the seed. Porum, at least we know we do have a dedicated white mage, even if she doesn't have the power that Rosa usually brings. So, kind of a neutral set of objectives for me.
That start, though, means that the entire looting world is open due to access to that exit spell. What do you expect these runners who are both known for really precise, really analytical play? What do you expect Telestar will lead them to do first?
Just based off the Tele, Watery Pass is a popular looting spot. The chests are a little more spread out, but they're much higher value. And Tele with exit lets our runners potentially head deeper and get out quickly, and that's true of a lot of locations. So we'll see a little more looting.
Well, Tele starts with a Cecil, and a blue robe gives us a darkness crystal, and the moon is in play.
So yeah, as Chad's pointing out, this is Team Ordeals. Both of these characters get a significant upgrade to their abilities when Ordeals is cleared, and that early darkness, especially with no free characters on, might prompt our runners to make a quick check up there for a character, especially since it's a gated character and could very well be Fusoya.
Yeah, the moon shop also in play. Is a gated shop, one of the only 5 places in the game where you could get tier 5 items such as sirens or Bacchus wines. So Antidale heading immediately over to Mysidia, and Starman right behind.
Yep, they're both going for it. They both want that gated character.
You know, whatever thoughts you have about a Tele start and where you're going to loot first, you kind of have to scrap that when you get an early game darkness.
Yeah, the initial key item. There are several initial key items that can change your plans up in a hurry. The Darkness Crystal, Magma Key, the Earth Crystal even. Go ahead and knock that treasure out real early, and that'll change up how much you have to loot. Because controlling your loot and getting the most value for a time is an important skill, especially when you've moved this high in Swiss.
Also, this free character will help a lot through the early game. Tele and Cecil have their uses, but neither putting out a ton of damage in the early game. Yeah, it is possible that Cecil starts with a black sword, which can do a little bit of damage, but Antidale did raise the big whale, but is going to stay on the blue planet for now and go looting in the Watery Pass.
Yeah, so just getting the raising the whale. Figures there's a very good chance that he's going to have to deal with it at some point, and the cutscene maybe gives him a moment or two to think about how he wants to attack the seed.
A Blizzard Spear in the back of the Watery Pass is not bad.
And our moon character, it's a moon word.
Well, Eddie will take a gig wherever he can find it, and today it took him to the moon. But in terms of early game damage, still looking for it.
Seen Eddie Schratz done once on Restream in this tournament, and by the person that won. While this flag set generally takes long enough to clear that it's not a viable option, it's not impossible, and for this stage of the tournament, we do have the spoon flag.
Very much so. So an early spoon can really change the complexion of that. Edward makes him a damage-dealing machine. The only problem, especially in the later game, is keeping him upright.
Yeah, the hit points are an issue. It's very much a glass cannon with that spoon. He'll do a good amount of damage, and with some bosses, it's all you need. You can take them down well before they start bringing any kind of pain if you've got enough damage. We've been seeing a lot more of that in this tournament. Even in past tournaments, runners have adopted much more aggressive strategies for certain bosses, and a glass cannon might be exactly what you're looking for.
Antidale making the pilgrimage into Kaipo finds a Porum in the bed, so a Sand Ruby is an objective.
Yeah, and with a character objective, I really like the bed check, knowing, you find a Sand Ruby in an out-of-the-way place, and you think, say, maybe somewhere deep inside the lunar subterranean, and if you don't know that Porum's there, you're like, maybe I could go back and get the objective? But if you've taken that little bit of time to duck into Kaipo, maybe take care of a couple of other things, then when you find that Sand Ruby, you know it's an objective.
Chad is saying it might have been Rosa in the bed. I thought I saw a left side ponytail, but I
didn't get a look.
That is Rosa, a loaded moonshot.
And Rosa's a big head of white hair. Hard to mistake her for a twin.
Yeah. It's still early for me, as it is for Antidale. But Star Veils and Elixirs up on the moon. Nice things to know where they are, but not the Sirens, Bacchus Wine's Hourglasses that Antidale would be more likely to want at this stage.
And it's probably why Antidale waited before heading up to the moon, in case there was something he wanted to get out of the shop. He'd have something to sell. Granted, you have 10 rune rings in a starter kit, so you can often sell 5 of those pretty quickly and get some starting cash, but he might have been preparing for a bigger shopping spree.
Antidale finds his moonward and is off with the 3 not punching hard amigos. And Starman looks like he's going to take a dip into the Antlion Cave.
And Demarine has reviewed Antidale's very quick Porum check, or typo check, and confirmed that yes, it is Porum.
Antidale going to dip into the Bahamut Cave. No trap chests down here. The chests are of a higher tier. Found a defense sword. Very nice. Gonna peep who this boss is. And it's an Odin.
So, if you're feeling cheeky, Antidale isn't, and I don't blame him.
Yeah, that would be a very frisky play at this point.
Right here and now. I mean, you would have to blink Edward and get him hidden with at least one of those 2 blinks still active, and come back out with the 4 range. Actually, you probably need to slow Odin down a little. So I take it back. Not yet. Tempts me, though. Tempts me.
Yeah, that's going to occupy a little space in Antidale's mind, I think. Just when Does he have the levels? When does he have the characters to take on that Odin? Because it's certainly not impossible, and it's something he might have his mind on to do sooner rather than later.
Show me a silk web, then maybe.
Meanwhile, in the pit of the Antlion Cave, D's Lunars are hanging out.
That is what the D stands for. Good use of early Cure 2 potions in the starter kit to get this out of the way quick. They're undead, you cure them to death, and what else for you to go to do with those Cure 2 potions? Certainly not anything this effective.
Much faster for Starman to use these Cure 2s rather than hack away at the Lunars, and they are through.
Also, like how they mixed up the damage a little bit instead of focusing fire on one of them immediately. The moment you're down to one, every shot you deliver, you take a fire counter. So was able to limit how many of those he ate by splitting up damage. Heads up.
Yep, you see why Starman is 3-1 in this tournament. Very nice game knowledge and gets through without any trouble. Meanwhile, there's Vanilla Yong facing off against Octomam on Mount Hobbs.
Oh, resets out of the blue robe. Interesting. I would have at least let the boss fight Coalesce so that I would know if it was Water Hag or Old Gauntlet, because it was a blue robe that handed us our initial key item and identifying the Waterfall boss.
And the Waterfall boss actually lets you know. If it were the Old Gauntlet, there would be three blue robes popping up. So Starman knows that...
One step ahead. Yeah, you're on top of it. Yeah.
Antidale is through, picks up his...
You need to take that time, you know.
Meanwhile, Starman going after Octomam. He wants to punch an Octomam.
Just less and less as the fight goes on, though.
Yeah, that's kind of the gist with Octomam. Every punch loses, or every 3 punches and then 2 punches loses a tentacle, slows down. Nice to see in a harder spot, but we'll take it on Hobbs to get access to this Yong and get Yong some levels early.
Yeah, because until we get up ordeals, this party's offense consists of Eddie shooting a dancing dagger, which early game isn't the worst thing in the world, but you know that's only going to carry you so far.
Antidale going to encounter his Lunar Dragons. Both runners kind of retracing each other's steps. Antidale has done a little bit more looting up on the moon. But both making good use of that early game Tela to get lots of nice items, which either they can save for when Kane shows up or when Cecil upgrades, or they get Iridia maybe, or it's a bunch of money.
Either way. And speaking of bunch of money or use it, there was a poison axe in the back of Hobbs, which if we get through ordeals means Cecil won't be stuck with whatever his initial weapon is, but it's probably not what you're hoping to finish with.
Yeah, and Antidale found a defense sword on the moon as well, so that'll be nice for Cecil once he gets upgraded.
He can just sell his poison axe.
Antidale going to check the Mist boss and maybe check that package character as well. There are a couple of package characters that would be worth sitting through that cutscene. If there's a Mist mop, that would be worth it, you'd think. Maybe a second Cecil.
Yeah.
That's a Rosa. That's interesting.
It works.
Golbez, as if he couldn't be more evil, blowing up the town of Mist.
Golbez is going to attempt to kidnap Rosa this time by burning down the village.
It's an interesting strategy, Cotton. The Baron guards have had enough of defending Yang in the Baron Inn and have decided to invade Fabul Castle themselves. This could just be a paycheck dispute.
Maybe. Not sure. Maybe should unionize, have more bargaining.
You know, I think that would be a good idea. As soon as we find a job dwarf that's a union organizer, they'll be all set.
Hopefully we'll have at least one runner of the people to identify the job for us. Definitely gonna have to talk to their union rep about this monk that was waiting for it. Poisoned, put to sleep.
Yeah. The poison.
This is not OSHA compliant, that's for sure.
It's a rough day at the office, to say the least. Starman gets through those guards. Antidale, meanwhile, putting Rosa in the wrong bed in Kaipo.
The sparkle. My goodness.
Would a wyvern just be the most obnoxious there?
This is not the objective noodle that we were hoping for, but you never hate seeing Ogopogo in a spot where you can just done with a fight with one vampire.
Yeah, it's nice to have that Ogo out of the way. Plus, Antidale has a white mage and a full team.
We've seen some pretty good bows and arrows out in the world, so it won't take too long for Rosa to start contributing both in terms of damage and in heat.
Starman did not check that package. It did get the Baron key from defending Fabul and is now trekking up Mount Ordeals. We knew this was going to be an early play as soon as we saw the starting two characters, and Starman decides now is the time to get that Cecil online and get Tella his full spell complement.
And our first boss is Orba. Oh, Dancing Dagger. Our only hope.
Well, as with so many things in life, technology is preventing us from advancing until we can master it. Another dancing dagger on Mount Hobbs there. Or Mount Ordeals, I'm sorry.
Do that all the time.
Antidale also trekking up the mountain. So once both runners complete ordeals, depending on the item they get, it's possible a D-Machine grind might be on the table. It's really rare to see in these flags because once you go into the giant, you have to defeat the two bosses on the back end to get out. But you have a Tella, you have a Cecil who would really like some levels, you have a Yang who really benefits from levels, you have a Rosa you can grind up to Cure 4 early. I'm not saying I'd do it, but it's a possibility.
Would be more likely under this setup than any other, I think. But the fact that after your grind you still have to deal with both of the bosses to escape is a strong deterrent. There are some really rude possibilities in those two spots that can make you regret the time sink. Plus, with it being this early, you're likely to make up the time marching through the seed, but you're also going to be extremely over-leveled, and it's a tough call without knowing how the seed's going to play out.
Well, you know me, Commander. I don't think you're over-leveled until you're at level 99.
Well, then, by all means, enjoy it.
Chaos Lord 2 in chat making a good point. Neither runner has checked Baron in yet, so certainly you can do that before committing to this team. And Starman doesn't have a full team yet anyway.
Chaos Lord, this dancing dagger has been the heart and soul of the team. You're just going to toss that aside like it was nothing? Wow.
Yeah, this dancing dagger's been putting in some work. Eddie can really do some things for your party if you find the right equipment for him and if you know how to use him. He's very valuable. A convenient punching bag, but has his uses, very much so.
Thunderstruck Odin is still waiting on the moon.
That is true. Starman finds the Dark Elf in the back attack spot.
He's gotten through to the change. Be nice if this wasn't before getting into ordeals so that we could use weak on this. But since that's not an option, we'll just have to do this the old-fashioned way.
Yeah, if Tella wasn't piggied, Tella could use stop. I believe Tella does start with stop. But Tella is Bacon right now, and we all know Bacon can't use magic, except magic to turn other things into bacon.
Or not bacon, as the case may be.
The Bacon Phase Changer. That's a good name for magic.
Yes, Demarine, I heard you and Allie trashing Eddie all night yesterday. I'm here to set the record straight.
Starman using that crumble to do a little inventory management. That's really what separates your elite runners from your just good runners, is optimizing every single second of time that you have.
Yeah. A few seconds here, a few seconds there, it adds up. And we've seen a lot of races this week come down to a minute or less. And so, yeah.
Yeah. If you're not fully caught up on the races this week, there have been 7 that have been within a minute, I believe. It's really been incredible to see so many close races. Starman gets a white spear for upgrading his Tella and changing his Paladin. There's another Lunar Sparkle in the changing room.
Lunar Cry. We've seen all of the sparkles here on Earth, almost. Assume Paladin?
Yeah, Paladin and Wyvern are the only ones still at large.
Yeah. Yeah, that White Lance will be great if we could find either Kane or even Edge to throw it in somebody's face. You can throw that spear.
Plague is no issue for Starman. Antidale right behind. And so that Baron key for Starman that he picked up from Fabul makes a really convenient chain to go to Baron Inn, see who the character is there, and then chain that into a check of Baron Castle. 4 boss checks, 2 character checks.
Yeah, and he knows, piece careful, I don't remember who did. There's a gauntlet waiting for him in the first slot, which is a little annoying and time consuming, but not the end.
It is fun to see the gauntlet in the Baigan spot because the enemies from the Barren Waterway all come up to invade the castle.
Yeah. Although, given the way these sparkles have been showing up on Earth, we could have the dreaded gauntlet into Wyvern at Baron.
Oh boy. Your mouth to bore faces ears.
Right? Perhaps. It's horrible because, like, over 99% of the time, you don't save. You don't hike all the way back into the waterway to use a save point after marching up to the Beigen spot. And then you face up and the sparkle shows up and your heart just drops to the bottom of your feet when the wyvern pops.
Mm-hmm.
You'll see a very savvy runner drop to wyvern standard time.
Starman checks that package, sees Rosa, decides no thanks.
Yeah, not willing to sit through it, and we know that Leviathan and Demas aren't back there, so he's not going to be terribly punished for it. As he'd rather fill out the party with a Baron in character.
Yeah, he knows it's still open to him if he's really hurting for a white mage. That's a second Cecil.
And not a place you want to see that boss set either. Like, I don't mind seeing King Queen Evelyn in the second slot, because that can be occasionally rude, but this here?
Nope, only 400 HP. They die quickly, but anybody in this spot can die quickly, and they die quickly and freely in just about any other spot. So, disappointing to see that, and we'll see. And it's the Mega Sisters in the second spot, and this could get rough.
Gotta get little sister out of the way fast. Through this.
Now, the saving grace here is that this spot is very slow.
Heads up by Starman, both fetching the Star Dust out of the inventory and grabbing the Elven Bow, which does quadruple damage to the mages that these Magic Sisters are.
But Cindy does get a punch off, and you can see that front Yo Young got 650 of damage right to the face. But Edward, the best boy himself, cleans it up. Starman is through and gets a magma key. So the entire universe is open.
We have moon access, we have underground access, just got to unlock a few of those out of the way areas. So much to explore. This is what makes for a good race, in my opinion. You have a high chance of divergence, and with the 4 out of 5 objective rule, there's a very good chance that you can have a runner look like they're about to bring it in, and another runner in a completely separate area of the game find what they need to come charging.
The seed, I think, really wants Eddie to be useful. Cecil, Paladin Cecil, also starts with a dancing dagger.
So many dancing daggers!
Antidale has completed his defensive football castle. Gonna check the weapon shop here.
I'm doing a lot of shopping. Not sure what it's hoping to find. I mean, the armor shops for the Cursed Ring scoops up the Elven. We've already seen with great effect.
And Medusa arrows will also be very nice.
Yes. You are skilled in the ways of making weapon procs land. You can get rid of a lot of enemies that don't have the boss bit very quickly.
Starman, heading straight into the waterway, knows that the blue robe that handed the darkness crystal to start is, in fact, lots of monsters squished into a blue robe.
And I'm still wishing for more AoE damage to deal with that at this point. Tella's been up ordeals, but he only has 90 MP to work with. Not sure how many J items Starman has to help speed this up.
And there are a lot of elemental weaknesses here, so a few lit bolts, something like that, would really help out.
Yeah, this is one of the worst fights for it. Oh, you could at least source some ice with the crocodiles, but if you think that you can throw lightning against these because you're up against watery foes, you're in for a rude surprise as the elect fish absorb it.
That is true. And I've actually done that myself. and why I didn't remember it.
And
Yeah.
the thing that really got me the first time with the Electfish when I came in here is when I went to cast Quake and they just laughed at me. Electric fish, they're flying fish.
Obviously. Antidale threw his Baron in melee, will get his Magma Key, and we could see a point of divergence here. Antidale also has the Baron Key, but may decide not to chain those checks together, instead check out everything in the underground. We will see. But he ditches that Edward for second Cecil. Antidale has booed the musician off stage. It was nice while it lasted, but half an hour in, Antidale wants more firepower.
Still first in our hearts, Eddie. And maybe my heart.
Antidale tried to drop the Baron Key in the Aggregate Well, does not work.
Antidale passing up on the long fight that is the Gauntlet and is going to head underground for freebies.
Yeah, there are 3 gated shop checks to do down here. There's the free chest in the Fey March. You get to check out who the Fey March bosses are, considering we're still on the hunt for 2 bosses, the Demist and the Leviathan, for different reasons. It's always nice to see who's hanging out down there. Plus, you get to get access to another key item if you decide to make the Sylph Cave trip. So, yeah, a very defensible play.
And a quick check in our gated shop.
Coffins and Tomra.
Antidale passing up on them for now. And just dips out. So, knowledge of whether the Jub Dwarf can help our Baron Guards unionize will remain a mystery for now.
Yeah, I think Antidale, coming up on the half-hour mark, doesn't want to do any more low-tier looting. He's going to loot out the Road to the Fey March. There's 1 trap chest down here, so the rest of the loot's a little bit better. Starman finds another robe on the throne. This one is purple. And it's Mylon and friends.
Really begging for AoE damage in this Baron Castle.
Yes.
It broke out a Thor Rage in a very appropriate spot, but still. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, my kingdom for a my kingdom for somebody who can cast Quake.
Or Stardust Rod. I mean, they'll just wave the heck out of that gauntlet.
Yeah.
Ugh. As Invenerable in chat is pointing out.
Antidale finds the pink tail. That is 1/2 of the 3rd objective.
Nice. Check your freebies. Need a hook. With Cecil well in play, there's a very good chance that the tail will hand over something very useful for him. There are, I believe, 8 possibilities with the adamant armor off, and 3 of those are the Crystal Sword, the Excalibur, and the Avenger.
That's why taking a second Cecil, even though we haven't seen anything better than a Defense Sword or a Rune Axe for him, is a very nice play, because with how many trap chests there are and how many ways to get the tier 7 items, a Crystal Sword or an Excalibur is going to show up at some point. That's a Lunar Sparkle and a Mom Bomb in the Fey March. And that's Wyvern.
Larg! And we have a second duplicate character in the seed with second Edward showing up in Baron.
Second Edward is like second Cecil, right? No. Starman sent us that.
Even I can't go with that. It's a fast spot for a Wyvern. You're going to want to have your anchoring set up right and make sure you get your initial Star Veils off. And even after that, there's a lot of hit points, so you're going to have to deal with the reflected nukes afterwards. It's definitely something to consider carefully before tackling.
Starman fishes a tower key out of the Baron basement and is going to check the throne.
I definitely like this. It might be free. It might be where your Leviathan is and you want to know. And just get the information. Even if you're not ready to take it on now.
And if you're still looking for some treasure, nice chests on the way down. Kind of like a little mini Earth Crystal treasury. That's a big note. That's an evil wall.
Yeah, we're gonna let that go for now. Don't know if that's a spot that can punch itself to death with an Edward.
Yeah.
It's punchy, but it's got decent hit points.
There's something scary down in the basement. Antidale, meanwhile, trekking through the Sylph Cave. It'll be interesting to see whether he... It'll be interesting to see whether he wants to go immediately to Sheila or whether he wants to take care of some checks in the underground first.
And I suspect we see a straight to Sheila here. We're going to do the underground checks. You probably do them before you dive Sylph of finding a pan.
But it makes a nice little loop. When you go from Tomra to Feymarch to Sylph back to Dwarf Castle. Or up that keyless tower.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
I don't know. Maybe not everybody thinks about transportation the way I do.
Oh, efficient routing is definitely a factor in choosing how to make your decisions. How much time you're spending flying from one place to place, how many transition cutscenes you have to deal with on the way. It's definitely something that's considered.
Sheila is like the Halloween, or the dentist at Halloween, just giving us an apple.
Antidale not going to take the time to walk that out. Oh, I don't need it. I'll worry about it if I get a pan. And some crisscrossing as Antidale looks to be setting up to charge into Baron, where Starman's already been, and Starman's diving into the Fey.
Yep. Wanted to take this opportunity while the runners are kind of retracing their steps to thank our restreamer, Nyobari, and our tracker, Maggie the Cat. Nyobari, of course, rolling this highly entertaining seed so far. So thank you to both of them. Give them a follow, and of course, Commander Leonhardt for dropping the knowledge here on a Sunday.
With varying degrees of accuracy, it would seem. And thank you, Sheep Launcher, the only member of our community with degrees in rocketry and animal husbandry, for being here with us.
Yeah, well, all you need is a little bit of wool and a little bit of gunpowder, and you too can be just like me. Starman doing a full loot. Antidale stopped after the first floor of the cave to the Feymarch. Starman found that warrior chest. Did not want to deal with it, but went back and relooted, with that knowledge.
And I missed the heroine row when Antidale came through, though given the location of that chest, I can't imagine he missed it. That's a good find for a Rosa.
Very nice.
Yeah, given that that arrow just flew out for 2,300 damage, I'm pretty sure there's arrow and rope there.
Yeah, it's certainly not too late in the game to let Rosa emphasize her her bow skills. And Antidale has the Stardust Rod, and that will help him a lot through this Baron Gauntlet fight. Now, something we didn't discuss the first time around. The Wyvern in the Leviathan spot is very tricky. It's going to require a lot of attention. That Mom Bomb and Ashura is no picnic either.
Oh, definitely. Also very speedy, getting a big boost to hit points thanks to the explode phase. Yeah. No picnic at all in this finish.
So you imagine with all of the checks available, neither runner is going to be in a particular hurry to do the Fey March checks.
Yeah, definitely something that can be put off for later. It would fall under the gambling check for me. Sometimes you'll make that sort of tough check if you think your opponent skipped it and you need to try and get through it to jump out in front of them, but I don't think either of our runners feel that way about where they are in the seed. They've both made pretty normal routing decisions given what's been handed them and haven't really taken an excessive amount of time with any options.
No, neither runner has done any time sinks, no bad wipes or anything like that, so that I think they both feel, or should feel, pretty confident in their spot right now. That Rosa is just cleaning up on Antidale's side.
Don't mess with a woman wearing a heroin robe. Good weapon. Also with bow and arrow, pour him with a bow and arrow, or radio with a good whip. You can do a lot of early game work.
Starman up on the surface of the blue planet, they're going to get the lecture from Sheila about eating better.
Yeah, and we'll see if they decide to hang on to that apple or reset out as antidote. I can kind of see both sides. Yeah, you want to reset out, not bother to walk down, but if you come back here with a pan later, you're just going to have to sit through her handing you the apple a second time to check the pan. But
yeah, I don't think as long as the I don't think that particular cutscene of dialogue is enough to negate the walking you have to do through Bull Castle, which you can't exit out of. Antidale is through the gauntlet, is going to encounter the Mylon-ocracy. The gas are the cabinet in the Mylon-ocracy.
Ocracy, then? Rule by the dead?
Very much so. And it's ruled by the annoying dead, because the ghasts don't have a lot of HP really anywhere you find them, but if they survive a turn, they do vampires on you, and the animation itself is just annoying. I didn't see what was available in the Dwarf Castle shop. Did you, Commander?
No, I was distracted by yet another dancing dagger.
He didn't hang around there long, so I don't think there were sirens there.
Would you like to buy a heroin rope? There's one in the armor shop. Also, Scala pointing out that Rule by the Dead would just simply be FF10.
There you go. And hey, here's some vanilla.
Ooh, yeah, some more vanilla. We're up to now 2.
The dancing dolls are dancing in their original spot. Antidale gets his second Eddie and dismisses him as casually as he did the first one. Laborious takes care of the 3 dolls in the front, but leaves the dolls in the back.
And it looks like Starman is either counting on this Gaia drum, which it does. Okay. Well, maybe he felt this was a situation of, I'll just take on the big one. I'm not afraid. But no, he just knew that a Gaia drum would get the job done.
Yep. No problem at all. Antidale gonna get his tower key. Both runners have been making terrific progress through the seed. No objectives as yet. Which
Yeah,
I don't know at what point that starts to concern you if you're running this.
I mean, it's an open world, so there's always the concern that, you know, a key item is somewhere I haven't been yet. Maybe that keyless tower looms in their mind. I don't think they're too worried about the moon yet. Would be very gutsy move to make that moon dive. Some runners would do it, but I don't think it's looming too large yet.
Starman encountering Golbez's brother in the Golbez spot in Dwarf Castle. Dark Knight Cecil does 3 waves. Tella fell over, but nobody else did. Starman did pick up a Sid replacing the Eddie, so despite 4 Eddies between our 2 runners, none remain.
The bard is truly underappreciated.
Antidale also parking outside of Dwarf Castle, going to make the Dwarf Castle play. Not even checking the shop right away.
Some a little time back that way. Well,
And
that's a
Luke gives
womp.
us a rock. That Leviathan summon, we've seen a lot of good summons just lying around. No Iridia to use them, though.
Yeah, we have distinct 10 on during this part of the tournament, which means that of the 12 characters, only 10 of them are going to show up. And the only thing we know for sure going in is our start character, and if we have any objectives that require a character, that character will show up.
And no, getting that Leviathan does not count as defeating Leviathan.
Would that it were so.
I mean, that would take a real mangling of the word defeat. To just say, oh, I have this orb that can teach me Leviathan. I have defeated it.
I mean, in the vanilla game, that's how you learn how to use the spell, but that's not good enough here.
Starman puts his Sid in the middle with the Dwarf Axe to push his agility way down. Antidale not going to use items. Going to try his brute force his way through.
Oh, bailed out.
Does.
Rune Axe swing was a little on the light side, but fortunately the defense sword came in. And yes, Prophet, Eerie, you could start with 2 Porums and still have a get Porum objective.
Starman going to loot on his way up the tower. There are 4 trap chests in the tower. And he's still looking for a nice sword for Cecil, so might welcome a trap chest here.
Yeah, I mentioned how the tier 7 has some good options for Cecil, but we didn't mention that we have the max tier 6 flag. So unless you're taking on a trap chest or turning in a key item check that doesn't have a key item, you're not going to find tier 7 items just casually lying around. So going after some of the easier trap chests can be a way to maybe dip into that here.
They're all hiding from Starman, though.
That one eventually. And he's going to go ahead and hourglass the alert to make sure it doesn't slow this process by summoning anyone.
Antidale did not take that Sid. So both runners have 2 Cecils, a Tella, and a Young, and Starman has a Sid. Antidale has a Rosa. We'll see if that extra white magic and punch of Rosa will make a difference somewhere along the line.
Well, Cecil go burr.
And that's why you check for trap chest. Starman has to be feeling elated.
Oh, yes. That completely changes the capabilities of your party. That one sword. It's got amazing attack power and 15 strength boost on top of it, giving you a couple extra swings with it. It's good times.
We'll see if Antidale even goes searching for that. That was in an out-of-the-way place, even by trap chest standards.
And it looks like Antidale is not. He's just going straight up to the top. Starman apparently not content with that crystal sword, although has found a lightsaber first. Although with the defense sword in hand, lightsabers have 6-1, half a dozen the other.
Starman, not satisfied with one crystal sword, maybe hoping for a second. He got a second crystal sword.
I love Cecil as much as the next person, probably a little more.
Probably a lot more, but yeah.
Third.
Starman has double crystal sword Cecil, and this entire feat is his playground.
I cannot. Now he decides he's done, and that's fair. Oh my goodness.
Unbelievable. Antidale finds Ashura in the
Avenger shenanigans to set up a double crystal, you know? I mean, you get one crystal sword in the Avenger and you're already delighted because you have the crystal sword user pick up the Avenger and then puts the sword in the inventory for the second paladin to pick up. But no, you could just have 2 crystal swords. Why not?
You get a crystal sword, and you get a crystal sword.
I mean, yeah.
So it's
This
tempting.
is why
It's tempting to think that
runners will find a way.
I do want to caution against painting Antidale as dead man walking from here. There are still lots of ways for Antidale to get back in this race. Very good racer, but yeah, the 2 crystal sword Cecil is just such an advantage.
Yeah, this race is absolutely not over. I mean, Starman is going to have a much easier time with a lot of fights just by the sheer power he's got. But you still got to go to the right places, and we've got a lot of things that need to be found in a wide open world.
I think Starman's next objective is to find a shop selling wines. Just slices through that Bahamut. And gets a pan from the top of the tower.
Good times. Good times.
More key item checks. Starman needs at least 2 key items. Actually needs at least 3.
At this point, Starman might want that second Rosa just to have a second source of the Berserk spell, not so much for anything else.
Yeah, Starman has the Tele to cast Berserk. Not going to be terribly useful in the Z fight. Um, is it worth sitting through that package check and maybe replacing that Sid to get that Rosa for Starman?
I don't think so. No, not at this point. Maybe if there's no Bacchus in any shop. I know there's a Porum out in the world. Well, Antidale knows there's a Porum at Kaipo. Maybe Starman knows that too.
Yeah, Starman hasn't visited Kaipo. I don't believe. I don't see any sand on his boots.
And no flunkies to scrub it off for him.
You son of a submariner.
Welcome to my barbecue.
Starman going to get to the bridge first, see what other item the tower has.
Antidale, once again, our runners diverging and converging, diving out of the tower at almost the exact same time.
Mm-hmm. And a twin heart.
Tower of Babel, officially Tower of Value in today's seed.
a blessed tower for Starman. Slightly less blessed, but still blessed for Antidale.
And they're both gonna do the check you'd expect.
Yep, take care of those items. Head up to Fabul. Fabul Castle isn't terribly far away from Troya, so it's a good route.
Yep. From that, go on and take care of the objective.
Especially with the two Cecils, there aren't many enemies in Cave Magnus that will give either of these runners trouble.
No. And Antidale's gonna be fine with the... Oh, wait, the value continues.
That's a hook. That means tower's hard required.
Yes, it does. And at Pinktail, we see a third crystal sword for Starman. I mean, that'd be good news for Antidale more than Starman.
Yeah. Yes, Antidale would definitely benefit from a crystal sword from the Pigtail. Starman would like to see an Avenger.
Yeah, Starman would love an Avenger. Help deal with that whole, I only have one person that zerks and he's kind of squishy issue.
Antidale going to pick up this hovercraft.
And just under an hour, we have objective for Starman, and it's a Dragoon Lance.
Well, it continues the other theme of the seed, which is lots of nice cane weapons and no cane.
And we have T. Wildish on, so the cane weapon's not that hard to find. Finding the actual cane can be difficult.
Starman going to take the hovercraft over to Cave Eblin. Going to check the shop, I would bet. Knows that there's a Golbez in the Ruby spot, so unless he wants a character, can't imagine him making that trek. Although it's a possibility, the character could be a Fu, which would be an upgrade over the Tele he has.
Rowdy Sniper, correct. Still one dupe hanging out. We've seen a dupe Edward and a... Thank you, a dupe Cecil, right. Duh.
And the hook shop has value again. Bacchus's and Sirens. Meanwhile, Sheila 2 has the Legend Sword.
So the hour continues to pay and handed over Twin Harp and the Legend Sword. That was gotten in the tower.
And the hook.
And the hook was in the tower. I mean, whew. I mean, Antidale missed the crystal swords, and he's still feeling good about that tower, you know.
Yes. Starman is going to take a look at that character.
Yep. Could still be a Porum. We've got an extra dupe, or could be a Vanilla Ninja.
And Starman decides he's not interested.
I mean, you already have double Crystal Sword Cecil. I guess you could throw those lances in somebody's face, but this party's fine.
Yeah. Yeah, really hoping for a foo there. Not going to get it. Edge would be nice, but nobody in that party you really need to kick out for Edge. So Starman decides no thanks, and is going to head over to Troya and going to utilize that nice twin harp he got from the tower.
So Starman hasn't finished off his hand checks. He's left that freebie on the table. So if it ends up slipping his mind, that could bite him. I mean, he's a very good runner to have gotten this far, but anyone can forget anything. It's done.
Antidale, having completed the pan chain, is also going into the cave. And this is the really cruel part about having the two top-tier runners is they tend to do Cave Magnus at the same time.
Right? They tend to go through the seed efficiently and maybe flit about a little bit in things, but end up running back, rubber banding back to one another.
And then we only get to hear harp once, maybe 1.5 times. But oh well, the theme of love on harp is very nice in the vanilla game, but it's a randomizer. We like to randomize them up. So Eddie is going to save the day, even though he is no longer in either runner's party. Going to save the day by playing a song on the harp.
Kicked you out of the party, Eddie. But you've got one last job for us. Save us from this evil dark elf. Play us a song, DJ Spoony Bar.
My name is Kaipo Guards. I have metal armor. Beat me up and earn 15 silver points. That was Gato's theme from Chrono Trigger. And another Dragoon Spear.
Another Dragoon Lance. Heard you were sick of getting all these dancing daggers, so we thought we'd give you something else.
Well, that is the equivalent of 15 silver points, I suppose.
Yes. Objective 1 for both our runners. They've knocked out 1 and 3 together. Antidale halfway to objective 2. So he's ahead in terms of progression until Starman gets around to finishing the pan checks. But
yeah, and unless I'm missing something, it seems like it's moon time.
Unless you want to dance with that Fey March, it's moon time.
Or that Barren Basement.
Sure. Barren
Or
Basement.
if you want to get really cheeky and check that King Queen Evelyn spot.
Her name is Kaiko Guards. Don't know how we got here. Eat us up and get this Dragoon Spear.
They're very nice.
And Starman, as an experienced runner does, not leaving that pan check behind. He gets his Legend Sword. He's back on pace with Antidale. Direction.
Yep, Antidale did make up a little bit of time in that hard fight, getting through the early tussle with Dark Elf just a little bit faster by having more of his runners petrified, paralyzed. And it looks like Starman has 10 key items, and so does Antidale.
Yes.
So they both have sirens, both set up to do the grind of their choice.
And with parties taking slightly different approaches to how the Z fight would go, with those crystal swords, Starman's probably feeling, who needs a healer? I'm just going to burn Z down before he gets around to doing any full force big bangs, whereas Antidale with Rosa on hand has someone that can stand a good chance of surviving those unnerved big bangs and healing up the party afterwards. But we'll just have to see what happens between now and then.
Starman takes a look at the Odin in Gabe Bahamut and decides, not right now.
It's a punchy spot.
It really is. He doesn't have an Eddie anymore to can cheese that, so the rare instance where one Eddie is worth 2 Crystal Sword Cecils. Antidale, meanwhile, heading underground, has those 10 key items and will get his grind going.
Yeah, wants that extra power before going to the moon, and you can understand that. You don't have the insanity that is double Crystal Sword, so you need a little more strength to push through these fights. Starman, much more confident that he can take whatever throws his way.
Yeah.
Unless it's Bahamut.
So both Starman and Antidale, Antidale knows that he needs 2 more key items to fill out his objectives without face checking for Leviathan. He needs that adamant to forge. He needs a sand ruby to get that Porum. Starman doesn't know that.
Yeah, and this is that thing we touched on earlier. If you're deep in the LST, knowing that the sand ruby is an objective versus deciding whether it's a gamble worth a save scum and reset make a difference.
Starman looks like he's going to go bottom up, which he needs multiple key items. It's certainly more densely packed at the bottom. And he's going to get a King Ryu grind going.
Yeah. Oz is right on the floor. Ooh, punchy. Ooh, at least those Cecils are in the back and they'll survive, and that's who you care about, let's be honest.
Yeah. 1 Cecil for swinging, 1 Cecil for covering. Should be alright.
Yeah. Can't cover a blitz, so you better have it done before then.
Yeah. While both runners are in their grind or in modes of transportation, do want to thank our restreamer Miyabari and our tracker Maggie the Cat for doing a wonderful job. Just 1 siren there for Starman.
Yeah, unless he wants to ether up, he's not going to be able to weaken down the dragons again. So, stop now, maybe pop a tent, and either come back or move on to a boss.
Antidale also doesn't want to mess with that Odin. Gonna head into the lunar subterrane instead. Starman entering the vanilla room finds Dr. Luge.
The worst spot to find Luge because of it's a high hit point spot and it gets split up a bunch of different ways, roughly 20, 40. So you got that going for you at least.
It is always a pain to see Dr. Luge anywhere because he loves to talk. He has his little buddy with him that he does scenes and skits with. Look, we got one comedian in the seat in Golbez. We don't need another one.
It's also why we call him Dr. Dial. Antidale used his sirens already. He's not going to stop to deal with any gold dragons. He's heading here and probably going for that double key item spot, the same as Starman.
Yep, very efficient.
And even the power of Crystal Sword does not stop the transformation to Balnab Z.
Does get you a little extra experience, I suppose.
You know, I'm honestly not sure whether the XP for Balnab Z is bigger than the XP for Dr. Luge. Can't go burr when you're poisoned. Everyone's about to be.
The first gas missed. Watch, he says. Do I look like a watcher? Tello, when he's poisoned, looks just completely hollowed out.
Yeah, that face. It's just like, man. Could I interest you in some wonderful face creams and a trip to a day spa?
Yeah.
King Street to buck us up. He was down on the ground when the poison came through.
Well, he gets through. The abilities stacking doesn't bother him too much. There's that sand ruby.
That sand ruby, Antidale will know that's an objective. Starman might suspect, but there are still plenty of other character options. Earth Crystal has 2, Giant has 1.
Yeah, those are the only ones left.
Yeah,
so,
I'm not willing
he knows
to...
he has a 1 in 4 chance at this point.
Yeah.
But also knows that won't be go mode all on its own. So going to tent up and take on some more bosses here.
Yeah, and it's not enough by itself. It gets more interesting if an adamant is found or Leviathan. Hey!
Well, we got
What?
leg. We got leg in the plague spot.
It's leg day.
Well, we'll see if Starman will wish he skipped this particular leg day.
Yeah, the magic here is very, very weak. You see the Fire 2 counter not at all threatening. Glare.
Glare is still a glare, though.
There's always glare.
Yeah.
You can go burr and go through fight eventually.
Even without a source of Berserk for the second half, you can see how much faster Starman went through this Luge fight than Antidale is doing right now with those 2 crystal starts.
Yeah, that's just the power of those swords and the damage they deal in these really high hit point spots.
Starman is through that Rubicant. Just a wizard hat.
Wizard cap?
Always skip leg day. What do we keep saying?
You have one of those at home.
We started with one.
Unfortunately, Antidale's probably going to make that very same check. It's just a perfectly logical moon play. Start at the bottom with a full of ribbon and then start working your way from there. Yeah,
and that if he does that check, Antidale might fall even further behind because Starman's Crystal Sword Cecils were cutting through for 4,000 a pop. Elements at the Ogopogo spot.
You thought the leg day was done, but it is me, leg day with friends.
1/4 leg day.
See the difference in magic power between the White Seer Spear spot and this spot as that Fire 2 comes out.
Antidale does pick up that Sand Ruby.
Now he can effectively, if he chooses to play it that way, can be in face check mode. He knows that he can just find a Leviathan and be done. He might still punch through the spots for levels and hoping to find the Adamant, but he could make a legitimate play just to look for Leviathan. And sure enough, he resets out of the Ruby.
Yeah. Yeah, that could be a really interesting play. There aren't a ton of boss spots left. There are 2 on the Giant, 1 at Luca Key, 2 at Earth Crystal. Spots that aren't on the moon. So about a 50-50 play here. Really interesting.
Mm-hmm. Starman gets a white shirt and says that is not even worth the walk back out of the Crystal Palace. To be fair, I guess you'd put that on Bella. Yeah.
Yeah, Rosa might like it better than Tella.
Yeah, definitely appreciate the white shirt much more. She did that. We're very much getting into the territory of I can withstand it.
Antidale going to stick it out for this Elements fight.
Yeah, he's gonna bounce spells off of walls so that he doesn't have to sift through the various phases of elements, including that very dangerous Rubicon phase. Thought that Fire 2, that you don't want to see what happens after.
Bounce that Cure 4 off of himself very nicely.
Yeah, and for those of you that don't know, this uses a nice trick of Final Fantasy IV in that a lot of enemy actions, shifts between the element phases, are counterattack scripts, and counterattack scripts don't trigger when you use reflected spells. There's a lot of places randomizer that take advantage of knowledge.
Starman popped another Siren heading up to the Vanilla Wyvern spot. The Crystal Sword Altar. Finds a Baigen.
You know,
could be worse.
Could be better.
Gonna punch.
I'll punch 3 times.
Meanwhile, Antidale decides he doesn't like playing white tees and resets out of that. Can't blame him. Hey There Delilah's an annoying song. But it's gonna go back in after that Ruby.
Okay. We're not in face check mode anymore. Gotta take out that Ruby.
Well, you know what Baigen at the Crystal Sword spot means, don't you, Commander? It's arm grind time. I'm gonna make this happen.
Never a good idea. Yeah. Just don't.
Question in chat.
Skip arm day, please.
Question in chat. Have we seen Demas? We have, or not?
Nope.
There's no Demas. We have not seen Leviathan.
Yeah. Would still theoretically be a required giant if Leviathan is on there and say Adamant is on there from Demas.
That's true. Starman gets a glass hat from that Baigan.
Final Insanity, the arms do actually give XP per kill, but I feel like it's maybe 1% of what the body gives.
So you're saying it's something.
I'm saying that it would be more efficient to take random encounters. The underground.
Antidale going to say hi to his Baigan, while Starman resting in the whale. Neither runner has found cabins yet, although they haven't searched particularly hard. But Starman going to check out the pale dim spot. So both runners have the Sand Ruby. Antidale checked in the first couple of minutes of the game. There is a Porum in the Kaipo bed. And there's Leviathan.
So I don't think the advantage is going to pay off for Antidale because Starman left Leviathan for last. If our runners had gone top down and then gotten the Sand Ruby in the Ribbon Room, then Antidale could have bailed then. But Starman is going to leave the room anyway.
Yeah.
Clears Leviathan and is immediately going to check that Sand Ruby and find out that the objective was there. Antidale's not going to be that far behind, though.
No.
It's going to come to the Z fight, and Starman's got the edge in power. Doesn't have the healing ability that Antidale has from Arosa, but with 2 crystal swords and a high level Yang, he might not need it.
Yeah, he's banking on Z just not getting around to doing that second Big Bang. Which
makes a good point. If this isn't Adamant, and it's not, it's Earth, then Starman might do Odin just in case. Although with that Earth there saying, hey, you now literally have access to every character check in existence, you can just go now.
Yep.
Without that Earth crystal, it would have been an interesting decision.
Yep, but we're not engaging in counterfactuals, we're engaging with the present, and Starman is presently going back down to the blue planet.
Antidale right behind, just a little bit behind. Just the fights are taking a little bit longer without that double crystal sword. It's one of those accumulated advantages that's building up over time.
Yeah, a few seconds here, a minute here. Starman going to check that Sand Ruby first.
Yep. Check your freebies.
Knows it's a Porum because the ponytail is on the left-hand side and Porum is right-handed. Starman going to get his crystal.
And likely just head straight back up. Probably feels like he's got the power to deal with Z, and accurately so.
No need to keep the kid in order to do the objective. 4 out of 5 objectives is good enough in these flags to get the crystal and go forth and take on the big boss at the end.
And you can never take the Z fight for granted, but this is in Starman's hands. It's still going to be a close time, but it needs something catastrophic to happen in the Z fight or that. And this isn't looking like it. I mean, there's a certain damage range where you might get our dreaded combo platter, Big Bang into Medio, but I think this party is well above that threshold.
Starman is going to get his cardio in on the way to Z. He has to take a long walk down the lunar subterranean. Neither runner has found a path.
Yep. And Antidale's defeated Leviathan for his third objective, is going to exit out and head straight to Kaipo to get his crystal. Scorian, Kaipo is, Porum is hanging out in the Kaipo.
So we don't know where that adamant is. It is possible that Leviathan was hard required as well if the adamant was the result of the Earth Crystal check.
Yeah, that's true. We'll find out when one of our runners rolls credits for us.
Yep. Just curious is all.
Yeah. Hard required tower was a thing, but hard required Leviathan in the Murasame spot, that's also
a nice. That would be a nice seed with the impression of being open and having lots of different avenues to victory.
Right.
But really coming down to two spots and who got there faster.
Yeah, and they're both spots that tend to get put off. Power tends to be run a little later than some other checks, and a lot of people like to make the play that our runners made here, PK value, and then go to the bottom of LST. I don't see the top-down clear as often.
Starman making his final preparations.
Yep. They are heading on down to the Z. Who's the crystal? Change it up.
Uses that silver apple on Tella.
Makes a couple more adjustments, focusing on the healing. Tella's not going to be relying on him for black magic spells here.
He has a dwarf Cecil or Sid in the middle that he hasn't been leveling, so should be okay agility wise, I would think.
Yeah, you get everybody over 2.5 times the agility of your anchor, and you're fine. Tella's probably not RA1. You also don't care.
So this big boss at the end, he has a letter. It's Z. Why are all these Z flags popping up?
Well, the Z flags are popping up because, just like our beloved Twin Harp song, we like to randomize certain aspects, and one of those aspects is Zeromus' appearance. You don't get the normal view for Zeromus when you use the crystal. You get one of 526 different sprites, most of which have been put in by our own wonderful art dev, Scala Kitty. And that leads us to a question at this time, doesn't it?
It sure does, and that question is, whose butt are we going to kick today?
We'll be finding out shortly.
Starman came in, Side Marshal telling us 1:25:56. We'll have to see what the time is for Antidale. It's going to be a couple minutes.
And Antidale's done a heck of a job just keeping pace with somebody running around like a madman with 2 crystal swords. That I can't understate that.
It's been very, very impressive. Both these runners have run terrific races. And Mumis.
Very cute. And yes, can confirm.
But these double crystal sword Cecils are going to slice and dice. And bash and thrash.
12 grand on that cycle.
Well, if you're enjoying seeing this particular Z sprite, get a good look, because it's not going to last long.
about 127.28 or so for Antidale to enter. So between 1.5 to 2 minutes. I'm not sure what spot the marshal used as his time mark.
Yeah, between 140 and 2 minutes. That first big bang on Starman's side.
Yep, that's the nerfed one. No concern there. And damage output should see a phase tip into the second phase without seeing another one, and should see us through phase 2 without seeing any more big bangs. Thank you, Side Marshal. Fade into the fight, so 1:50 seconds.
Does anything special in Pokemon happen when you have two of the same monster? I don't even know.
I have no idea.
Well, I guess this is Mewtwo.
That's a different one.
Antidale gets that Stardale off, but Starman!
And just like that, tears through a Z-Fight. That's what 2 Crystal Swords will do for you.
Starman blazes their way into the brackets, will be moving on in this tournament, gets the win today with an official time of 1:28.55. GG to Starman, who is moving on.
And Antidale's not going to be that far behind. He doesn't have the damage output that Starman. He's got Rosa sitting on a Cure 4.
Hello.
So, not going to be that much longer. Hey!
So,
you got...
Yeah, so,
E.
GG, double Crystal Sword Cecil all across the sky. What does it mean?
That sums up your seed right there.
So you must have been very gratified to find one Crystal Sword in the tower after you went fishing for it, and then you found another one. What? You weren't just satisfied with one. What was your thought process behind going fishing for more trap chests?
I just wanted, more Cecil gear, and I got rewarded, so.
Boy, did you.
You sure did.
I mean, you know what you're going to hear and see in chat when you go back for the VOD. It's a nice little chorus of, why is he looting when he has a Crystal Sword? Followed immediately by a, oh, you've got to be kidding. It definitely worked out for you, though.
I mean, one of the main reasons I was still looting, because none of my characters had shirts. None of them.
That's an aspect of Sea-Neki that sometimes gets past people. You don't have any of the good stuff. You didn't have an edge you could just casually loot for a black belt. Things of that nature.
Sun's out, guns out, is what I say. So once you had that double Crystal Sword, Cecil, you kind of finished up the checks that were handed to you, and then you went to the moon. Tell us about your thoughts on the moon routing.
Why did every boss spot have to be like something that was reduced experience? Why?
I mean, elements. Baigan was extra experience. You got a little bit of an arm grind.
Yes, like the extra 2 experience. Yes, great.
Hey, it's 2 more than you had before.
You had 10 key items. So we're talking about this up here too, and I'd like your thoughts on it. It was a wide open seed, like you could go all over the place, but there just ended up being a couple of spots that held a lot of things for it. What were your general thoughts as far as where am I going to go and in what order? Any particular decisions that were on your mind as the race played out?
I mean, early on with the party I had, I was absolutely going up for deals early. There was no other choice.
Sure.
And I could have reset out that Edward on the moon, but I was like, no, that is actually more power than my 2 characters currently providing.
Right? Dancing Dagger, carrying early, no doubt.
So, yeah, the tower certainly had everything. It had the pan, which turned into the hook and the legend sword, and it also had the twin harp. Um, it, are you a person who is normally against the tower? Did did you feel did you feel the love that it certainly gave you?
I am a person who will go to the tower when I feel it's right to go to the tower. In this state, I had the tower key early enough that it was just like, yeah, I'm going up there, and got rewarded by 2 crystal swords and like some easy peasy bosses.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the tower had plenty of rewards even if you didn't do the trap chests, but in a 4-minute race, the crystal swords did make sense. And we're joined by our second place finisher, Antidale. GG.
Thank you. GG, Starman.
GG, Annadale.
So, I
So
mean, got the news from Starman well before you came in here as to what the difference was.
Yep, and I just felt like I was playing slow the entire time, and it was a very good gamble that I thought about too, and I decided not to, and I did not get paid out for deciding to not gamble.
Well, you did keep up for a while with Starman. You were
Yeah.
processing the moon checks very efficiently with what you had, so that was good. And we were talking about this with Starman as well. It was a very wide open seed. The entire universe opened up before the half-hour mark, but all of the value was concentrated kind of in a couple locations. What were your thoughts routing the seed, and when you came upon just how loaded that tower was, and that pale dim spot, which held so much of the objectives as well?
It was technically wide open, but there wasn't a whole lot of actual desire or impetus to go to the moon without a good way to grind for it. And since I didn't have good weaponry, early moon was not going to be a play. So it was going to be full clear Earth until you got something to force you to moon, or at least to not do. To kind of like abandon the Earth for whatever reason. So, like, I think that was an illusory, wide open seed just because of that, because the moon was deeply unattractive for quite a while. But yeah, that tower sure was something of lower Babel, being super hard required in multiple ways. Definitely a thing. Felt good that I checked it, but I felt also like Starman was going to too. Getting a tower key, Dwarf Castle wasn't that hard. So it was just going to be who could execute better and go a little bit faster.
Starman, you've made it through to the brackets officially. What are your thoughts on those flags? Have you taken a look at them yet? How have you?
I love them. Like, if I have like every excuse to not be shopping to be opening chests, yeah, great, fine, we'll do it. I say as someone who is routinely trying to open like under 8 chests. They look fun. Like, these longer form flag sets are like my bread and butter. I love them.
Yeah, but you're not. Imagine you're not going to sleep on your next match though. You'd love that 5th win, just to guarantee that you don't have to give your opponent a 1-0 lead in your first bracket match.
Mm-hmm.
And Antidale, you're left to sweat it out for another week. There are lots of hungry racers in that 9-point pool. What's your prep for the week gonna be like? What's your strategy going into the final week?
I'll play seeds fairly frequently just to keep sharp as much as I can and just hope for the best. It's gonna just be play the seed that you have in front of you. there's some metagaming against opponent, but we'll just wait for opponents to show up and see what happens.
Well,
It's been a
sounds
fun
like.
run.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Nope, that's sorry. Go ahead.
Sounds like a great plan for both of you. Thanks for putting on a heck of a race for us. We thoroughly enjoyed getting to do comments for it, and good luck to you next week and the rest of the tournament.
Thank you. Thanks you all for tracking and commentating and restreaming. And again, GG Starman. Hope you all have a great rest of your weekend.
And thank you, and again, thank you to the Restream team for putting this on. Thank you, Commander Leonhardt and Maggie. And thank you to Neobari and Maggie. Maggie the cat was tracking.
Yes.
Yeah, sheep launcher. No worries.
Sheep launcher. Like I was looking at the thing, and I'm just like, my brain is not like registering who it was. Thank you, both of you.
Unfortunately, there are no crystal swords to help you through interviews.
Yeah, we'll have a good afternoon.
You do the same.
GG's.
And with that, this match is over, but Free Enterprise is not over for the day. We're going to be sending you on a raid to one of our other tournament runners, Morpheus, who is doing some practice. So don't spoil this race. You can tell him it was a good race, but no details.
Yeah, that on this particular channel, the Free Enterprise channel, at 7 p.m. Eastern, we have our final race of round 5, Leggy Starscream versus Moon Blaze Wolf. That's going to be a whale of a race.
Yeah, you definitely don't want to miss that. I'm going to be here. It's going to be great.
Oh, phenomenal.
And-
So be sure to join us again for that.
And
but
before the raid cuts us off, Scala says there's a surprise, so you definitely want to stop by.
Ooh, I like surprises.
Yeah.
But until then, we're going to head over to Morpheus. Thanks again to Neobari, our restreamer, our tracker, Maggie the Cat, for your wonderful work behind the scenes. Thanks again to Commander Leonhardt. And my name is Sheep Launcher. Until next time, so long.
Thank you too, Sheep Launcher. We'll see you all later.